Like many other students and conservatives here, I believe this movement that we're starting is created at the grassroots level, which in turn starts in the classroom. Sure. So my question to you is this. What do you feel is the biggest problem in the collegiate education system, and how do we fix this moving forward if we wish for our movement to continue to gain ground?
Yeah, man. I mean, what the biggest problem with the collegiate education system is the collegiate education system. I mean, it's top to bottom, rotten to the core. College is right for some people. It's not right for most people. It just isn't. It's a racket and a cartel for a lot of people. Raise your hand if you know someone that dropped out of college. Every hand goes up. That's demoralizing. They leave with debt. They leave with less direction. They never should have gone to college in the first place. Now, that's only one part of it, not to mention the student loan burdens, right, where people are borrowing money they don't have to study things that don't matter, to find jobs that don't exist, to go into a job market where everything's hyperinflated, where that piece of paper means less and less and less. A vast majority of people going to college are not trying to get their MBA, which is a great reason to go to college as long as it's not completely woke, but they're getting sociology degrees. They're getting degrees that don't exactly have a highly, let's say a very competitive kind of standpoint to what that degree would be, especially where people are looking to hire right now. We need more people in the muscular class in America. We need more plumbers, electricians, and welders, and police officers, and firefighters, and entrepreneurs. And we need to not demean them or diminish them. We need to elevate muscular labor in our country. If you ask me, we have way more than enough people that studied North African lesbian poetry, in the last couple of years, and that have, this huge debt burden, and they don't really know where their place is. So look, top to bottom, college is doing a lot of damage to our country. I wish that wasn't the case. I don't think it has to be the case. College can be awesome. Hillsdale College is a great example of that. If every college were like Hillsdale College, I'd have a completely different opinion. I've spent time at Hillsdale College. I've got to know Dr. Larry Arnn. You know what they try to do from day one? They tell you that you don't know everything, and there's something here at this college that's special, and you're going to go on a journey to discover it. They also say this. They say, we're going to complete the whole human being, the mind, body, and soul. We're going to read things that are ancient and beautiful and good, and you're going to really wrestle with the most important ideas and topics. That doesn't happen a lot at universities anymore. Instead, it's, hey, you have your own opinion of truth. Who's to say what is good and beautiful? And kind of just go have fun along the way.
The left, as we can see, has really serious positions for the future. They have really serious opinions and hopes and visions for the future of the U.S. Yeah. Serious enough that they're willing to organize into groups of hundreds and break things and burn things down. And we on the right, that gives us lots of time to talk about it and make fun of it and, make compilations and whatnot. What is our vision for the future? What are we willing to get that passionate about?
It's a great question. So three really basic things that I think should be a commitment to the next generation. It should be easy and celebrated to get married, have children, and be able to own property in this country. It should be a moral guarantee to the next generation to be able to do those three things. It's good for everybody. It anchors you in responsibility, right? Right now, it is harder than ever to buy a home in America, thanks to inflation and thanks to all this nonsense that's happening. We are telling young people not to get married, and we're saying that if you have children, it could be an existential threat to the climate. And we wonder why this is the most depressed, suicidal, anxious, alcohol-addicted, and medicated generation in history. Those three things should be a core social compact. I could go through list by list, though, right? I want a country that cares more about our borders than the borders of a foreign country. I want a country that makes stuff that is critical to our national sovereignty and our future, such as vitamin C, penicillin. I want to see less kids addicted to pornography. I want to see more people outside. I want to see people spending less time on their phones. I think we should entertain at least the spirit of a national weekday of rest. I think we should have a day where we slow down. I think that we're able to get Uber Eats quicker than ever before. We're able to get medication we want. We have more ease and convenience that we're more miserable than ever before. Why don't we actually tolerate? We don't have to do laws, even though laws might be a good idea, where we just rest for a day. We used to call these blue laws, where everything kind of slows down. You spend time with loved ones. You don't look at the phone all day long. Maybe your favorite restaurant isn't open that day. Maybe you actually have to cook for yourself. I want that country. I want a country that actually is purposeful in our action, in our community, that is more local than it is corporate, that focuses more on the family than some abstract ideology. That's what I think we as conservatives need to fight for and fight for vigorously while they do all the nonsense that they do.
How do we start to take academia back? What is the best route to achieve that?
Well, I'm not convinced it's possible in certain areas. I think we have to build new colleges and new institutions. My big fear is that this woke ideology is now infiltrating the social sciences. It's also infiltrating engineering and mathematics. The things that you thought would be immune to the kind of racial preference, worldview is now totally and completely infiltrated. And so I wrote a whole book called The College Scam. So I'm not exactly big on saving higher education, but I do think there is a place for higher education. And it pains me because I go and I visit to Hillsdale College quite often. Hillsdale College is America's greatest college, by the way. They do a fabulous job. And it pains me because I see how good education could be. I sit down in these classes at Hillsdale College, and they're studying Aristotle's Ethics. They're studying, Augustine. They're studying the Summa Theologica by Aquinas. Now, I would just venture a guess that many of you have probably not spent more than maybe a week or a month or a semester thinking about Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle and what they had to offer. If you guys are, then I'll stand corrected on that. Or talking about why Western civilization is the greatest and most excellent experiment in self-government in human history. Why is that the case, right? And so education can be great. And there is a place for students to learn classically and read the great books and to have dialogue and discussion. That's not what's happening on university campuses. Instead, you get a steady diet of Robin DiAngelo and Ibram X. Kendi and of Gene Stefanik and of Intro to Critical Race Theory and Herbert Marcuse and Michel Foucault and Jacques Derrida and postmodernism and post-structuralism, that really these ideas could be entertained for a short while. It's a really bad idea to build a worldview around them. In fact, it's a great way to burn everything around you if you actually do that. So how do we reclaim it? I think it's time to support the good institutions and build new ones.
It's really unsettling to me that you have this website, professorwatchlist.org, right?
Yep.
That basically tells conservative students that, hey, these professors are very liberal, and you should avoid them.
To expose.
Okay, fine, expose. But even in that, I feel like that colors thought, coloring their speech to where it's not free speech.
No, but
You're
we're not
telling them
saying
what to do
it's
beforehand.
not Professor Blacklist or Professor Hitlist.
But
We're not saying they should shut up or be fired. We're not misquoting them.
Yeah. No, I
All this
understand that.
stuff is, we're just making
But
them
would
more
you agree
famous.
that it's taken out of context, though?
But that's not my fault if someone takes something out of context.
But
so if
you're
I says your
providing
sweatshirt
this
is red,
database.
it's not anyone's fault except the interpreters.
Sure, but you're providing this platform for people to spread this misinformation.
Not necessarily.
You don't think it's a platform where people can spread misinformation?
You can say the same thing about the internet or Twitter or Facebook. It's not incumbent on the person who creates the platform to be responsible for how people interpret it.
Of course. Can you guarantee that this is not going to inhibit free speech?
You can never guarantee it. But we're using our right to free speech to encourage more speech.
Are you encouraging more speech, or are you
course.
silencing that speech?
How are we silencing it?
You're silencing it in the sense that you're telling students that,
No,
hey,
we're not.
this person has this preconceived notion, right? So you're giving students this idea that, hey, this professor thinks these things, he believes these things.
So then challenge them
when
and
they
then
take
debate
that
them.
class, they're not going to go into it with this open mind, being these free thinkers. They're going to go into it thinking, hey, this professor has this ideal. I should know that when I
But what's
engage
wrong
with
with
him.
that?
I think the thing that's wrong with that is
Maybe they're more aware.
that's literally antithetical to free speech, would you
No,
say?
it's not.
I think it's important to engage with someone and rationalize their ideas.
Of course.
And so then you're inciting violence against
No,
them.
we're
You're
not. How are you
inciting
inciting violence?
You're inciting this
It's like,
negative
it's
sentiment
like saying a
towards them,
newspaper
right?
incites violence when they cover anything.
But would you agree with me in saying there's a significant difference between a newspaper that's a public outlet and something like TPUSA and something like this,
we're
where you
citing
have a
all
bunch
of
of
it with
like-minded
news
people,
articles.
right? So I don't know. My feeling is just that it creates this environment where speech is not equal.
I appreciate the sentiment.